Well, welcome to our third episode of our podcast. And I am here with Ronit Erman with Erman Enterprises. I'm Christine McConnell with Nations Lending.
Ronit Erman with Erman Enterprises, and these days we are going just by Erman.
Thank you. I did not know that.
Yeah,
We learn something every day.
that's it.
So, Ronit, you and I have worked together. I was doing the math this morning. I think it's almost 27 years. Was it like 1997, 98?
Yes, definitely. Before the 2000.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
So a lot has happened in 27 years, and we went from working together on a condo project that you had built,
Yes.
and you do the resale and the property management. So we're going to hit on the resale and just a tad on the resale, and then mostly I want to talk about the property management, and you work with a lot of investors also.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you all about it and how we got to do this. Since you bringing when we met, at the time we were developing a townhome community. Just remind me, were you working with us in Chandler as well, or only in Peoria?
Only in Peoria, Peoria Estates.
So Peoria Estate, that was the second townhome community that we developed. You were our preferred lender at the time. We were building 264 homes for sale. It was a very interesting time of the market back in the late 90s. We really started selling. We opened our models right before September 1st, September 9/11. It was in June. It was Father's Day weekend when we opened the models. Everything was going very well. Sales were coming up. Everything was great. And then we had 9/11. Everything slowed down. And then afterwards, everything came back. And we finished that community in 2006. During that time, and even before, we were developing multi-tenant office industrial buildings, vacant land, subdivided land for sale, another community in Chandler, and Peoria Estate. And in the early 2000s, we stopped buying inventory, which would be the land, because we felt that the prices were too high and the numbers just did not work. And going backwards a little bit, my background is accounting.
Right.
My husband he grew up in the real estate business. So after we got married, I started working with him. So that's how I got into the real estate business. And it was a great combination. I would do all the financial analysis. Well, he still has the nose for the real estate part. And we just moved from one project to the next, to the next, to the next. And then we just came to a still, like, we can't buy anything. It just doesn't make any sense. We were worried. And it saved us as well because we didn't get stuck with anything, really. So that's how we got into the business. And when we finished with Peoria Estate, the market 2008 came, the market slowed down a lot. We had our office, we had employees, we had a lot of multi-tenant office industrial square footage to rent. Vacancies were very high. So we had to recreate ourselves. And that's when we talked to many investors locally and abroad and said, it is a good opportunity to invest in real estate.
And back then too, I think you were dealing with the Canadians too, right?
Yes, some Canadians, many Israelis, people from California, everywhere.
And that was, what year was that again?
2008.
2008, okay.
2010.
And then because you didn't really concentrate a lot on resale until probably what, maybe 10, 12 years ago? Like,
Um,
like heavier now?
the resale came, we were always word to mouth
Mm-hmm.
and referral base real estate company.
Yes.
The property management came because of the investors during the slow time. They said to us, we will buy as long as you manage. Since we had the office going, we had the employees, and it made sense. So that's when I say never, because I always said, I will not manage for anybody else. It's enough of a headache when it's for yourself.
And now, how many properties do you manage? I
We
think there's quite a
probably
few.
have way over 120
See?
properties that we are managing, and that's probably 100 owners that we report to every single month.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
amazing. That's so funny. Never say never.
Never say
Yep.
never. Never say never. So it's been a great experience. It's very challenging. You have to be fair to both the tenant and the owners.
Mhm.
But it's working. It's working as long as you are honest, say what's on your mind, and be logical. Things will work out just fine. I mean, of course, there is some rules that we have to follow,
Sure.
and that we make our own rules in order to make it better for everybody involved.
Now, you and I have worked together on, I mean, many resale, but also with the investors too. In fact,
Absolutely.
it does come full circle because just recently we
Right.
had done a transaction where someone, actually a client that you had referred me, I've done a few loans for this client, and then they ended up buying one of your units at Peoria Estates and then sold it to
Yes. Another investor.
yes,
Absolutely.
another investor. And so you just can't seem to get away from it.
No, we can't, and we love it and we welcome it. It's really exciting, and it's exciting to see my kids' friends getting into real estate and buying and selling, and our kids buying and selling and investing. It's very exciting. So, talking about resale, it was mostly referral only type of relationship. But then when you manage so many properties, when the owner decides that it's time to sell, and it can be different reasons, they automatically come to you. So that's how our resale business started and grows so much more, because naturally you have the listing. Many years ago, before we were in Arizona, we were in Montreal. We owned a Century 21 office there. And back with Century 21 training, they always tell the realtors, what you need is listing. You need listing. In the end, they're going to sell. So that's where you need the listing. You need the inventory. So it's nice to be in that position, because it's the future of the company is.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're saying. So with somebody being let's say they're a first-time investor,
Okay.
do you typically find that your investors, they already own, that maybe they have a primary home, a second home, now they just want to be an investor, or because like you said, your business is by referral only. And so you're well connected, you have a lot of contacts. And so I feel like the investors that you work with, for the most part, it's not their first time, but I do think you have a handful of first time investors.
Yes, we do have a first-time investor as well, and especially in today's market, where a lot of people do want to buy something new, but they're sitting on a home where they live there for 5, 10, 15 years with a very good loan that they had on it that's 2 or 3% interest, and it doesn't make sense for them to sell right now, and they're converting it into an investment property.
Yes, I'm seeing a lot of that. And is that something that you recommend that they keep? Because
It's very individual on their financial situation if they can, but I do recommend that they will try to do it. This is a way of increase their wealth overall is by owning real estate. You really do increase your wealth, and if the numbers make sense, you lived in the home, you know the condition, you know that you updated or upgraded if it's the air conditioning, plumbing, the roof, whatever it is, and the home is in good condition, and somebody else can be happy there. And if you can afford that, then I would highly recommend to do it. You have to look at the real estate in a long term, not a year or two. It will pay off.
So, out of the investors you work with, how many would you say are cash and how many are financed?
Most of them are cash, especially the one that comes from overseas. The one that are financed are the younger. They working, they have making a nice living, and they are able to have some financing on the property. They're not really looking to make money on a monthly basis, but they are looking for the appreciation and for the
future
and the tax benefits that come along with it, and for their future growth. So you do see a lot of the millennials that are definitely getting more into real estate.
I think that's where you add a lot of value because of your background in accounting. You have both, right?
Yes.
Like you can really do the numbers and say, yes, this investment's going to work out really well for you, or maybe not so much.
I always provide them with expectations, with financial expectation. We give them the estimated return on investment. Being in accounting for so many years, I'm very conservative. So we always show them the best case scenario, the worst case scenario. When they are looking at financing of about 50 to 70% loan to value, they most likely will not see a lot of cash coming in the end of the month, but they will be positive, which is very important. And the appreciation and everything will work for their benefits. So they still go for it.
So with the so when you sell to these investors, more than likely you're going to be managing the property. So how do you find the tenants for these properties?
So the goal is to find a tenant as soon as possible. Therefore, we market it everywhere. We start with the MLS, we put it in Zillow, we pay the extra $30 that they're asking per month. Most of the best tenants do come from Zillow. So definitely we market it, we take professional pictures, we prepare the unit to look at its best and market it. Also on our own website and social media. And then we are very strict with our the word I'm looking for.
Are you with the credit checks?
We check the credit, their credit check, the criminal, of course, the income, rental history is very, very important. So meeting the client, number one.
Meeting the tenant, you mean?
Yes,
Okay.
meeting the tenant, the potential tenant, that really helps us. We've been in the market long enough that we can most of the time tell if they're telling us the truth or not. So meeting with them, see who they are, what's their history, talking with the previous landlord. Some of them today don't like to fill up the forms, but they will talk to you over the phone and they will give you that information. That's really, really important.
What's the reason for not wanting to fill out a form?
They worried that, let's say, the tenant wasn't a good tenant, or they were 11 times late, or things of that nature, and they will give a negative reference. They just don't like to do that anymore. I mean, and the main apartment complexes and things like this, they tell you out that they don't fill the paperwork anymore. Yeah. So we try to call, and we have our list of questions, and we go over it and try to get to the bottom of it. So really talking to the tenant and get the feel for it, it's very, very important.
Are most of these leases a minimum of 1 year?
Yes, we like to stay with the long-term leases. We are not equipped for the short-term and the furnished and that type of thing. We do have a few that we handle, like 3 months minimum or 6 months, but for the most part, we prefer the long-term leases.
So, what are some of the challenges today that maybe a landlord slash and or tenant are facing with each other?
Well, first, we like to keep the landlord and the tenant very separate from one another. It's always a challenge that the landlord will recommend the tenant to us. They said, my house is coming available. I want you to manage it. I want you to rent it. And by the way, a friend of mine would like to rent it. And then I'm like, okay, not a problem. We'll let them see the property. And then there's a lot of things that the landlord did not know about that tenant. But now we find out some financial information that maybe they weren't privileged for that before, and it can be challenging. And then they are friends, so if something is wrong, they call them instead of calling us. And then very simple for the landlord to fix the problem, and he will send a vendor, but that's not the vendor that normally we use, and there is issues, or the rate is very expensive, or things of that nature. So it's very challenging sometimes that landlords still like to be involved. And I'm like, I will keep you updated about everything, but please do not get involved.
Well, and that's why you hired me.
Exactly.
Right?
So let
That's why
us.
you're paying me.
Exactly. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Let us do our job.
Right.
Because, oh, but I know this guy from my networking group is really good. I want to give him the work. Okay. But he is 40% more expensive than our vendor. Do you still want to give him the work? So have your vendor call me and let me do it the way we will price things out or things of that nature. So it's funny how some landlords are still like want to be in control, and they are in control. You know exactly what's going on with the property, but let us do our job and keep yourself out of it.
Do you give the landlords like a report? I don't know if it's monthly or...
Absolutely. They get a report every month.
Okay.
We collect the rent the first few days of the month. By the 10th of the month, we give them the report, and we direct deposit to their account their income, whatever they collect. We pay for them the HOA, the property taxes, the landscaper, the pool service, whatever it is. We take our fee, and the balance we direct deposit to them, and they get a report. At the end of the year, they get the entire 12 months report with the 1099, so they are ready to go to their accountant and file the tax returns. If for whatever reason there was a major expense like a roof or something and they paid for it directly, we can enter it into the report as owner contribution. So again, all the numbers are in one place for them for transparency and for the end of the year. If we do have an expense over $300 or $100 or $500, we try to talk to the owner before we spend our money. We send them an email, we give them a call, depends who, what. But whatever it is, we take care of it.
So the tenant would call your company if there's any issues. Is it a 24/7 number that they call?
Absolutely. Our office number goes into a service, so we get text messages in the middle of the night or early in the morning, always on a Saturday and Sunday. So if it's an emergency, we will deal with it immediately. If it's not, it will wait for Monday.
Okay.
So they call the office.
Now, I know that you and I were talking just before we started this, and I always love a good story. And I know that you had a good story recently.
So,
And
yes,
yeah, so
recently it's like a nightmare story, but teaches you a lot, okay? So we had a beautiful home in North Scottsdale for rent. The rent was $6,000 or $6,200 a month, and was rented by a female with her daughter. She was a divorced, working, coming from California. I met her assistant. I did not have a chance to meet with her because she travels all the time and whatever story. We got all the funds. We did the credit report. I checked online. My assistant Ashley is like an investigator. I mean, literally on her social media, on her work, everything penciled out. She moved in. First 6 months, not a problem. She's taken good care of the house. We inspected. The house looked great. Her ex-husband started stopping by the office to pay. And after 6 months, we start seeing late payments. And she said there was an excuse every time. They always paid it. In the end of the day, they paid it with their late fees and everything. But they paid. When the lease was coming to an end, we said, I'm sorry, but we will not be renewing the lease. You need to vacate. They didn't move out. They continue paying late, but they were paying. But finally, they stopped paying. And we started the 5-day notice and eviction notice. We made it all the way to the judge on a Zoom calls with the judge. And her name can go both ways, as a guy or as a girl. Her name was Ronnie. We'll keep the last name out of here. But I knew that it's a female. And the ex-husband is the one who's talking on the phone on the Zoom call without the camera. So I stopped the judge and I said, I'm sorry, judge, but the person that you are talking to is not Ronnie. And he said, what do you mean?
because he was claiming to be Ronnie?
He was claiming to be Ronnie. And I said, Ronnie is a female. So the judge got very, very upset. And he admitted that he's the ex-husband. So she asked to get Ronnie, the ex-wife, on the phone, on a video. And he got her on the video, again, only by phone without a video, so we cannot see her.
Uh-huh.
And the judge was very upset. And she didn't admit to the amount of money that she owes and things of that nature. And the judge really didn't like it and moved forward with the judgment. And they were out. About a few days later, or a couple of, more than days, probably a month or so later, I get a phone call from Ronnie. And she doesn't, a female Ronnie, but she does not sound like the previous Ronnie that I talked to many times on the phone before. And I'm like, what's going on? She said, well, I have an eviction from you, but this was not me. This was a stolen identity. The ex-husband was her boyfriend or something at one time, and he had all her contact information, and they used that to rent this house. She had no idea, absolutely no knowledge about any of this. Of course, she asked me if I can give her any of the information. I said, well, I need to see a court order or something. I can't just give you that information. But that was like, I felt terrible. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, that was crazy.
That is a crazy story.
Yeah.
Because those are things you see on TV, but not necessarily
Literally.
real life. Yeah.
Literally. I mean,
So how long does it, so if with that eviction, because you mentioned the 5 days, how long does it, because I hear different things, how long does it take to evict somebody if they're not paying their rent?
So you really have to start very quickly. So you have 5-day notice. By the 5th of the month you did not receive the rent, you can start. It's a form that we fill it up and we email it to them. We send them registered mail. You have to send it registered. We let them know that we're starting the procedures. They have like 10 days to respond back, to move back, to pay in full with the late fees and the other fees that they are creating as a result. And within the same month, you can actually get a date to be in front of the judge. So realistically, if everything goes well, within 30 days, you can get them out. The problem starts if they don't want to move out because they lost so much and they have nowhere to move and they don't want to move out. And even if you have the date, now you have to wait for the constable to call you and let you know when is he going to show up at the property to get them out. So you or your locksmith, somebody has to meet the constable at the property. You give them 15 minutes, 30 minutes to get out with their personal belonging. If they still have the house full, you change the lock, you get them out, and then they have 10 days, I believe, 10 or 14 days that they can make one arrangement to meet you at the property to get their stuff. If you remove their stuff, you have to store it, you have to inventory it and all of that. So most likely you keep everything at the house, you lock it. So that's how it can take more than 30 days, 45 days or so.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. Compared to other states, it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Try to avoid it. We try to work with the tenant to get them out as soon as possible, as nice as possible. The damage will be smaller. They will get their things out. I mean, you don't want to get their junk out. It's costly as well.
Right. And I'm sure just with everything that you do on the back, on the back side, that you probably don't have a lot of these anyways, because
we don't. I would say that in the last 20 years, less than a handful.
Okay, and that's really good.
That's really good.
For managing as many properties as you manage.
Yes, but you do remember them. It's not fun. It's not something that you like to be part of.
No, I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm sure it can get
the stories
messy.
oh my God, the stories and
yeah. So for someone that has a home and, they have a 2.5% or 3% rate, they're like, I really want to buy another property and rent this out because it's going to be a good investment for me. What is the first piece of advice, or what do you tell them? What do you recommend that they do to their home, or, before they vacate and purchase another one? Do you recommend that they do anything? Do you recommend that they have like home inspections, or?
We'll go through the property. I don't necessarily think they need a home inspection because they live in the property, so they know exactly what's the condition of the property. As far as paint concern, white, Swiss coffee white is the best color. It's very easy to match when you need to do touch-up paint and things of that nature. People like bright and light, so just paint it all white. If you don't have carpet, that's better because it's cleaner, much easier. Tenants like that. Mm-hmm. It keeps better. So make sure everything is working. Number 2, get a property manager to help you lease it and get it on the market as soon as possible. And include in the rent the landscaping and or pool service as well. Because the tenants, most of them do not know how to handle Arizona landscaping or the pool service. And the damage after will be much greater
Absolutely.
than what it is. Plus, it's weekly or bi-weekly service that somebody's at the property from the outside to take a look. So their landscaper will report to me and said, listen, there were like 5 dogs in the property, where on the list there is only 1 or not even 1. So it's very helpful to us as well if there is a landscaper on the property, and to make sure that they don't cut the water
Right.
or things of that nature.
Right.
So
Right. So what is, with everything that you've done over, the last 20 something years with managing properties, what is the one thing that you feel you've had to learn the hard way?
stolen identity wasn't a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I mean, and that one that I never saw the tenant. I don't know if I would have seen her, if it would have made it would have made a difference, because on the social media, I knew what she looked like. On her LinkedIn information, I knew what she looked like.
Right.
So if
you
I
met
read,
with her assistant.
exactly,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
and that's usually a no-no. And from there on, we will not do that.
Okay. So that's actually that's a good lesson.
Yes.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah.
Stick to your guns.
Stick to your guns.
Yeah.
And what is a piece of advice that you find yourself giving to clients over and over, but maybe they don't take it, or they decide to do it, but it's too late?
Well, I always like them to build a reserve account. Because you never know with a home, if the air conditioning, the roof, whatever it is. So I really encourage them, especially during the first year, whatever cash flow you end up with, please make yourself a reserve account and grow it every year. So later on, you don't have to come out of pocket if something does happen.
I think that's so important, because you're always going to have unexpected expenses.
Exactly.
And then where's it going to come from?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
one thing. The other thing is don't be greedy. If you have a tenant that's been with you many years, work with them. So if the rent value has grown, keep giving increases, but make them a little bit smaller, less than the going market, because you're saving money. The tenant moves out, especially after they've been there 2, 3, 4 years, you're going to have to repaint, maybe change carpet, maybe update the light fixtures. There's going to be expenses that you're going to be doing for the home when they moved out. So it's going to cost, and it's going to take you 2 weeks to a month to find a new tenant. So you don't have rent. You're not collecting rent during that time as well. So work with your tenant. Don't be greedy. Give them a smaller increase so they feel great about being a good tenant and being there for a long time. And in the long run, you do make the difference.
I think that's the best piece right there, because everybody wins.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and
statistically, most of our tenants stay a very, very long time. I mean, we had a tenant just moved out, and she's like, "Can you believe it's been 8 years?" I'm like, "Yeah, your kids were like babies. They're in high school now, And she needed something bigger. She wanted a pool, but she was so happy with us and that everything was taken care of that she said, "You know what? I hear so many horror stories. I don't want to move." And it works for the owner as well.
I hear people that they own today, and for some, they're like, I just think it'd be so much easier to rent. So are you, just because of all the upkeep, right, the maintenance, are you finding that right now, are you seeing few more people shifting to rentals over ownership?
I've heard it. I've heard it. I've heard tenants saying, "We don't want to buy. We happy." But I still think that people still want to have their own place.
Well, Ronit, thank you so much.
My pleasure. This was fun.
Yeah, this is great. Really appreciate it. And we're going to have your information for everybody so they know how to reach you if they're looking for resale, investment properties, property management, because you can take care of it all.
You got it. Thank you.